Hello everybody, welcome to KDP A to Z. Before I go into the details of the video, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about myself. I am not an author, I'm not an artist. I started to do KDP in February 2022, so I've been doing this for about 7 months now. It is very much a hobby. I work full time and I do this sort of thing in my evenings and my weekends and just around my work. The most important point about that is I do it because I enjoy it. Now, I don't think that KDP is an instant get rich quick scheme, but it is certainly a way of making some extra pocket money. I've been making my books very gradually and I've been trying to make them really, really well. And a couple of days ago, I got a lovely surprise in that one of my books made over £100 in one day. And that's not sales, that's actual royalties. That is money that I am going to get in my bank account. Now, I do need to say that this is in no way typical for me, I'm afraid. It definitely doesn't happen to me every day, but it is building, and slowly every day I am seeing more and more sales. And this goes up and down, but every day I am making some money. Now, the nice thing about KDP is that once you've made the book and you've published it, that is there forever. And that will continue to make you money without doing any extra work for your life. And obviously, the more books that you make and produce, the more passive income you'll make. So that's one thing I like about KDP, is that it is passive income. You don't have to do any extra work at all, and you will make the money. Now, if this is something that you'd like to learn how to do, I would recommend subscribing to my channel, because I will show you everything that you need to know from start to finish. So that is setting up your account and formatting it correctly, creating the covers, finding out niches, good areas that you can publish in, and ultimately publishing your book. Now, on the 21st of September, I was very excited when I saw my royalties, and I published a screenshot of it onto my Facebook. Now, I was absolutely inundated with questions. How did I do it? What was the book? How much are you selling it for? How do you promote? How many books do you have? Do you have fancy covers? So I wanted to address some of those questions because they're obviously very important to people. Now, in answer to the question, what was the book? I can tell you it was a puzzle book, but it was a very specific puzzle book. I did my research on the keywords before I even started making it to try and find out what a good puzzle book would be and what people would be looking for. So I knew my market beforehand. Now, the next thing that I did was I used my favourite keywords for my title. My title wasn't particularly long, it just used those keywords. So it wasn't too fluffy, it didn't confuse the Amazon algorithm very much. I just selected my best keywords and I put those as my title. The title is the most important area for your keywords. So if you want them to be found, put them in your title. Now, I'm not saying that I found the very best keywords that had zero competition at all. They all have some competition. But I did hedge my bets and I went for something reasonably competitive and reasonably well looked for. You can look for keywords that get a good score on self-publishing titans. Keyword research is something that I go into a lot of detail on a regular basis, because it is actually the most important stage. So please research your keywords first. Now, all of the skills that I'm telling you about, they can apply to any niche. But one of the nice things about puzzle books is that once the purchaser has done the puzzles, they can't redo them. They want new puzzles to do. It's the same with colouring book lovers, for example. You have a never-ending demand in this sort of niche. And those are the books I tend to focus on most. If you're going to focus on a particular niche and you want repeat business from these kinds of customers that are going to keep wanting new puzzles or new colouring books and so on, you've got to do your books really, really well. And I think that's what I did with my puzzle book. I made it look really good. I made sure there was no spelling mistakes, no grammatical errors whatsoever, that the questions all made sense, that they could do the puzzles, that it was visually nice to look at. And in my particular case, I actually got my sister to do all the puzzles for me, because I'd made the puzzle book and I wanted somebody else to make sure it made sense. So that's what I did. Once I'd made the book, I decided to get a really good cover for it. And unfortunately, making a cover is not my skill set. It can be done, and if you are artistic, I would recommend doing it for free. But I actually got mine made for me on Fiverr. It cost me £10, and that way I knew it was going to look visually good, because I think visually that is the most important area. People are not going to know what's inside your book until they actually buy it, but they're not going to click on your page until they've seen the front cover. So I think a good front cover is really important. So that is one of the things that I did in this case. So I did spend money on making a cover. Now, when I was publishing the book, I used the 7 keywords section to put in the keywords that I'd found from my research. I wasn't tempted to put in extra keywords. I just used those. And I think that's probably the main thing about why this got some good sales, was because I wasn't fluffy with it at all. I didn't just shove in extra words that I thought, oh yeah, I've seen them, but they're really competitive. I just chose the main ones that I thought were going to work. Now, after I'd published the book, I made sure that it was available in more categories. So when you're publishing, you can select 2 categories, but you are allowed to have 10. And I made sure that for each country where my book was being sold, so that's all the English-speaking countries, the UK, America, Australia, Canada, I made sure that they all had 10 categories. And I deliberately selected those categories based on rarity. So I can tell you that my puzzle book was large print, so it was particularly good for elderly people, and in that sense I managed to get it into the categories of like geriatric care and so on, which are categories that haven't got an awful lot of competition for them. So it didn't take a lot of sales for them to become a bestseller in those categories, and that was one of the most important things, because it had managed to get bestseller ranking in a couple of categories and there wasn't much competition in those. That was very important for helping my sales. I also made great use of A+ content. Again, A+ content is visually stimulating, so it's very good for our purchasers to get a good idea of what's inside your book. I would really recommend doing that. That is completely free to do. Now, the book itself costs £9 for the purchaser to buy. I always price my books between £6 and £10. I just think it's got to be enough for you to make some money on it, but it can't be outpricing yourself from the market. So don't make it too high, but don't make it so low that people think, oh, it's not a very good book. Now, in regards to promoting the actual book, I did not pay for ads. I think it is something that would definitely work for some people, but in the puzzle niche, it just seemed to be too expensive. You were talking about 60 pence per click. And now when you do that, the person that clicks on your sponsored link, you are charged that 60 pence regardless of whether they buy it or not. And I just thought, I'm only making £3 profit per one. That means that at least 1 in 5 people that click on it have to actually buy it for me to make money. And for me, that just wasn't worth it. But the actual book sold organically, and I believe that is because I went through these steps. I had a good cover. I made it really good. I did my research beforehand, and I used the extra categories. Now, my next video is going to be showing you all the different programs that I've used to make different puzzle books and how you do that. So do stay tuned, subscribe to my channel so that you can get notified when that video comes out. Thanks for watching. Bye.